Okay, my name is Rory Price, and for my final project, for my research project, I'm going to be doing a kind of Alice in Wonderland style themed project. So essentially I'm going to have a Alice in Wonderland tea party in the woods. This is going to have that kind of Mad Hatter feel vibe, kind of, so you don't really quite know if it's real or not. So with the style I'm using, it's going to be very bleached and bright, and it's going to be kind of very like bright colours, a bit like this image, which is where I kind of got the idea from an artist called Ezra Royce. Part of this image kind of reminded me of the kind of juxtaposition between kind of almost the brightest colours and the drug taking. So it's this kind of balloon that could be something innocent, but it could be something, you know, kind of very druggy. So I've started delving into these kind of ideas within. So basically, within British TV at the moment, we have TV shows that are looking into how young people are destroying their bodies, how young people having to go to hospital and they can't leave. They're having dialysis and things like that. We'll have TV shows like Parents, Hotel Mum and Dad, where they literally just don't understand that they need to support themselves, and they don't understand, you know, that they need to be more responsible with their lives. So after piece and piece and piece, I'm putting this together. So I'm deciding, slowly putting this kind of hedonistic lifestyle that these kids, these young people are having, these drug-taking lives, and I want to use this to represent within this Alice in Wonderland style world that isn't quite real, but it isn't unreal. If that, you know, that kind of, so it's not real, but it's not unreal. So, you know, you're never quite sure if they're where they are and where they're not. I've been doing too much Alice in Wonderland. But for the style of like characters, I want to use these kind of young and commedia dell'arte archetypes. I think one of the images I drew up, this one. I don't know, do I need to show the camera?
Yeah.
I don't know. But basically, I've started drawing up the characters so they fulfill the kind of young and commedia dell'arte stereotypes. So I have like the father figure who's also kind of shadowy, and he's the El Capitano, you know, the soldier person, the person that's supposed to be strong. And so basically what I wanted to do, and there's also the clown who's the what do you call it? The trickster, the mischiever, the secretive one. What I was trying to kind of do was, you start in this kind of unreality world where you're not quite sure if it's real or not at the beginning, essentially. And you have these very kind of two-dimensional characters. I wanted to do that on purpose. So they felt very kind of kitschy almost. But as you kind of develop the story, and I wanted to develop these characters through, so they become from two-dimensional to three-dimensional. So essentially I wanted to continue the story, develop the story as they developed as people. So as they realised that they weren't as they realised they were in this world that wasn't really real, and they should really learn not to be in that world almost. So as it's almost kind of like a growing up piece, you know, in a way. But so as they learn how to not be, learn how to not be so hedonistic and learn how to grow up and be mature, we start learning about them, and they're starting to become more three-dimensional characters. So I'm not quite sure where I am. Wrong. So that was for the use of the commedia dell'arte stereotypes there. Where is it? And that there. So basically, through some of the styles that I'm using, so I'm going to have two alternative realities, the reality that's more real, and that's going to be black and white and dark and kind of ominous, kind of it's the real-esque kind of world. And then you counterbalance that with the very bright, colourful, unreal world that they seem to be stuck in. So I want this unreal world. So to show you the kind of the dirty, gritty, kind of dark, high contrast. That's the kind of look I was going for. So I'm actually going to use some of Kubrick's techniques to influence. Well, I've used some of his influences to kind of show off what I kind of want to do. So I have these kind of dark, high relief, backlit, whatever. So because I kind of, well, especially with the unreal world, I wanted to make the unreal world feel very off-kilter and something you don't really want to be part of because it just doesn't sit right with you, almost. And through the use of Kubrick's one-point perspective, here, it's kind of big. That's better. Where everything's perfectly balanced, and it doesn't quite feel right. So everything feels almost too perfect, and it's too symmetrical. So this is quite similar to some of the kind of 16th century artwork that is kind of reminiscent of of what kind of influenced Kubrick with the style. Oh, it's kind of small. So things like Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. See, I got it right this time. He used this very same technique. So it's in here, and there. That's a bit of a bit. And so through some of the other scenes, for instance, the next scene, say this one. This is. So I planned out a couple of the scenes I've got here, and this is the drug taking scene. It's kind of the transition between the two worlds. So essentially, you have them kind of partying and drug taking, whatever, and but it's almost as if you're not quite sure which world they started in. So you're not quite sure which world they'll end up in or leave because you're not. Then so it becomes clearer to you as it becomes clearer to them, because they don't even realize that they're in this hedonistic unreality. So I want to what is it through. Like Kubrick says, where is it? Oh man, I can't do it. Oh man, that's tiny. There it is. Editing is only what filmmaking is about, producing film to edit. So essentially I want to plan out my entire film so I can, essentially I'm going to edit before I've filmed it almost, which is again kind of another Kubrick technique, simply because this makes it kind of, more interesting in my head. So with this scene where, so basically you have a cup of tea that's being dropped some sugar into, like a sugar cube, and the sugar cube turns into a drug that then drops onto the say the tongue of the person, and through here you then follow the camera follows down the throat, and then a bit like in the Matrix, kind of where the metal creeps up and then once it goes down into the darkness, you then see the elevator, and you see the girl dressed with the bunny rabbit head go into the bright elevator. So it's almost the bright light at the end of the tunnel. So that kind of symbolizes how the drug becomes the tunnel, which then the tunnel goes into that other world, almost, which is kind of interesting. So then we have the actual elevator. So the elevator lands like in a field. So it comes down from the sky, down into the elevator. And you see the bunny rabbit leaving. Then this is where I use another one of Kubrick's techniques, which is one of his most famous follow focus scenes. So essentially I'm going to follow the bunny rabbit and have her kind of being chased by the other characters through the forest until we get to the table that is the, what do you call it, the tea party, which is kind of reminiscent to the actual original Alice in Wonderland, where the bunny rabbit is essentially late, and he's late and late, and he turns up at the tea party. Kind of long. I think I have some more quotes, but I'm not sure. But basically, what the main point of what I'm trying to do is point out this whole, the whole point behind the fact that young people these days have this very disconnect from the fact that they don't have any responsibility, you know, all these kinds of things. And another quote that I thought kind of resonated with that was the sanitation of violence movement has been accepted for years. What seems to upset everyone is how now is showing the consequences of the violence. So it's not maybe the violence, but it's the consequences that upset people, and the consequences are what's kind of important almost. It doesn't matter what you go through; it's the consequences, what they've done, which they're not accepting, and that's kind of what I'm trying to hit home here. I think that's about it. Yeah, kind of the same here, where you have the in a time in the no, yeah. And again, the way I want to create my environment is to create this entire world that I then stick the story within, and let the characters and the story, the actors develop how everything kind of develops within that world. So, you know, the film, it should be more than music like fiction, progresses in moods, feelings, themes, emotions all progress. I think that's about it.